I guess one of the common traits and mistakes that I see in early stage entrepreneurs and early stage businesses is that approach to creating the minimum viable product and creating the product that's ready to scale. I mean, from my standpoint, I think it's fairly simple stuff, but most people get this wrong. So I guess my approach to this is you start with a business idea, and that idea can be anything. As I said, it's about the team and the execution of that idea. Once you, I guess, develop your business model, like the financial model for the company, essentially what happens these days is most of these businesses they tend to be what I would call marketing-driven financial models. And I say that in the sense that they tend to start with a marketing budget on the top line, and that marketing budget then translates into a cost per install if it's an app business, or maybe a cost per registration if it's just a web business. And then that funnel then goes from I guess an install or a registration through to a first time order, then a repeat order, then churn. And then that tends to net out into these are the monthly number of customers that we have, and then times by their average basket. And then that's your kind of revenue line. And these days, more often than not, your financial model will start like that. Before you get into, I guess, the below the line costs of like the overheads of running the business. Now, my approach to the MVP is fairly simple, but you certainly, it's not for the faint of heart, and it certainly requires the CEO to be able to hold firm on this, because the model here is that when you develop your MVP and ultimately your launch product, you don't know how long that's going to take. And you'll have lots of pressures from outside of the business, be it investors or within the team, to put a date to that launch. Now, for an MVP, all you're doing is you're trying to prove market fit. That's all you're doing. And the best way of doing that is to look at your metrics at the top of your financial model, starting from installs or registrations, then customer adding items to basket, then first time order, repeat orders, etc. And all you do is you focus on the first metric first. So if you have an app, your first metric will likely be, install to maybe you've now passed through the onboarding. Well, just focus on that to start with, and make sure you hit the percentage that you know you need to achieve. If you know that you need to have 90% of people pass through onboarding, well, then focus on that first and don't move on until you hit that 90%. It's pointless worrying about billing systems and loyalty programs or anything like that if you're not actually getting people through the initial stages of the funnel. Once you've done that, then you focus on the next part of the funnel. Again, that might be add items to basket. So, okay, what can we do to get more people adding items to basket? Is it a tutorial? Do you maybe, is there some technical problem that's stopping people from doing it efficiently? Just focus on that. And then effectively, you just continue to move down the funnel until you get to a point where you're hitting all of your key metrics from your financial model with your minimum viable product. But you're doing that all the while by just dripping users into the funnel. You do not want to start running huge mass marketing campaigns while you're still trying to optimize that funnel. And I almost every day meet people that ask me about, how do you scale your marketing? What marketing channels? How do we even start this thing? Well, you start by creating an efficient product. Because if you haven't done that process that I've just laid out, well, it's pointless spending money on marketing. And in fact, it's actually dangerous because you bring customers into a product that's not ready, you burn that user, and as we all know, it's 10 times harder to bring a user back than it is to acquire a new user. And all that will happen is you'll run out of people to bring into the product. So that whole process requires a very, very strong leader to be able to hold firm, because you don't really know how long it's going to take for you to optimize that MVP.